you
right
hear us?
now.
Can you hear us? Yes, you should. Yes, you should.
Projection
This
mapping.
one cannot be taken down because it is public domain. Dang.
Yes, you hear us. Yes, you hear us.
For some reason, Chris's feed is purple, but now it's gone. Now it's gone. It was a cool effect. It was a cool effect. People are hanging up the feed now. Hanging up the feed.
No,
now.
they're here for our singing. That's what brings people in. It's certainly not our raw sex appeal. It is our singing.
Okay, people are going to stream us live and streaming. Well, my apologies then. My apologies.
I stand by what I said.
All right, I think.
Oh, it's like the old map paintings, except for it's done via projector. So it's kind of like a living green screen.
This whole thing is a green screen.
Yeah, it's probably
I'm CGI.
It's probably what the those 80s sitcoms, 80s 90s sitcoms scene with them driving in the car. It's probably what that's all about.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Damn it! Yeah, I think I got a dead bulb.
Bulba.
I don't know what I
No,
do with
it's
my
on.
house to do projection mapping though. Suncast.
Over
There we
enunciate.
go.
I
Now
have-
it's filled in. Look at that blue. It's filled in again.
Do you guys remember those LED projectors in the holidays that were really big about 5 years ago? I got like about 20 of them.
Maybe what you should do is the opposite. Instead of projecting your background, you can project a picture of yourself onto a background.
Maybe I refuse to use them because they'll blind my my surveillance cameras though. So.
Oh yeah, fair enough. All right, well, I guess we should do this show. You guys are recording still?
No.
Loud.
No, I never started.
Loud. I don't know. All right.
You can't clip with that Rodecaster Pro. You know that.
Yeah. I'm not on the Rodecaster Pro.
No. Well, then you better find out if you're clipping.
All right. That was a shot. I liked it. It's hard to clip. Anyways, I'll say it. It's hard to clip when the device runs way quieter than it should be.
What are you talking about?
Another Rodecaster Pro shot.
I can't hear you.
Well, there's that, but there's also the limiter, the automatic limiter that they throw on the damn thing.
That's true. The one that makes you
or
sound
is it
like
a compressor? One of the two.
Makes you sound like poop anyways. All right, let's just do this thing.
Shots fire.
I'm David S. Dawson from the Intellectual Podcast, a show that spotlights creatives from all walks of life, part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other incredibly geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
This is the official GonnaGeek.com show. Each week, we run down the latest news and happenings in the world of geek. These are your hosts for the show, Steven, Chris, and SP.
Welcome to an all-new episode of the official GonnaGeek.com show. I am Steven John Drew, and with me, of course, is Chris Farrell.
I'm here.
Also, Pioneer, Stargate.
I'm over there, and I'm mere days away from getting my brand new iPhone 2020 large.
You know what? I am so excited for you to get a new phone. I know you've been wanting it for a while, and whilst I am not traditionally an Apple guy, I do know you have been waiting for a while for a phone upgrade, and I'm excited that that day is finally here for you, especially because I know you are such a professional filmmaker, and that's what you're going to use it for, because that's what they're marketing it for.
Well, you know, I'm going to make into YouTube videos, hopefully, but I don't know if you could ever consider one of my videos professional.
But you can head over to onlyfans.com/Stargate Pioneer for more of his videos.
Oh man, now I got to get that URL.
A while ago, Chris did he filled in for SP over on Better Podcasting live chat. He made a similar joke. I had to remove it, Chris, because I thought that someone might actually do it, but I'm going to leave it in here.
I did?
Yeah.
I don't even remember. That's fantastic.
Onlyfans.com/Stargate Pioneer.
Yeah.
I love
something like that. If you didn't know this, we're here usually to talk geeky things. And actually, I'm going to edit this. I want to just adjust something right now.
And I don't know
it
why.
was this purple thing that was doing the weird effect again. Hold on.
Were you turning me purple? I
maybe.
like the color purple.
Here we go,
Color
hold
of
on.
royalty. So.
Do we have to restart
No,
the second podcast in the same week?
Yeah, we're good. If you didn't know this, we usually talk geeky things, and we'll get there in a minute. But before we get there, I think that it's only fitting that we do pay tribute this episode to a loss that came from this past week. Many people are familiar with the television show Jeopardy! It's something that I think most people have seen an episode of it at some point in their life. And I have to say, part of me, one of the things that I learned when I was young and I was looking, who's the famous Canadians? It stands out when I learned that Alex Trebek is Canadian. And so, see, now SP is doing this. What the hell's going on here?
That's just intentional.
He's
It's
got
raining
purple
purple
power.
snow.
See,
Purple rain, man.
I wonder if it was those settings that...
Is it on my end?
No, I don't think so. I'm just going to try. No.
Wow.
Well, it's bad.
Hold on, people, you'll lose audio.
At you over the air. We stole the radio waves.
All right, well...
The radio. Yeah, we're coming at you in a video signal through the radio waves.
Okay,
Magic that we're doing here. Black magic.
we'll try it again here.
Oh, I was delving deep into the 5G frequency
Hold
spectrum
on. I'm
today.
just going to... you guys will lose me for a quick second here.
I just realized I can't act.
Sorry, everybody. I know you can't hear them. Just about set back up. Okay.
No.
There. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Do I have to press play?
No. It occurred to me that I had the pro audio hook turned on, and I thought maybe that was pulling too much from you guys. Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
So I just rebooted mine.
You got to turn
it
the
off.
amateur audio on
So,
for me, okay?
We'll see. We'll see what happens here. But let me recue that. If you didn't know this, we here usually talk about geeky news, and we'll get there in a minute. But before we do, there was a loss this past week that I thought we should acknowledge. And
Okay, Steven, I'm just going to stop you.
No.
I can't see nothing.
Yeah, we have no video.
there's
We
no
just have audio.
No. And
Yay!
usually
I have
wouldn't.
video. I can watch on the Twitch stream. And
Now-
it can
now
be
you
really
can?
delayed.
You can see
Yeah,
now?
now we can see it.
Okay.
Yep.
One more time. Leave the gap so that I can edit it easier. If you didn't know this, we usually talk geeky news and things like that. We'll get there in a minute, but before we get there, I did want to acknowledge a loss that came this past week, and I think it's somebody that most people are familiar with, and it is Alex Trebek. Yes, unfortunately, after a fight with cancer, it did come out that Alex Trebek, the host of Jeopardy, did pass away. Now, I remember as a kid when I was learning about all the different famous Canadians, Alex Trebek was one of the first ones I was like, really? Oh, the guy with the mustache? And so, it was pretty interesting to me. And I don't know. I think there's a lot of people who knew of Alex Trebek just because such a staple in television for so many years. And so I thought this week we should honor him, and what we've done is, for the audio listener, we have a screen where it shows the three of us together with the names below it. And this week we have gone and we have done the Jeopardy name write-in. So we've given our hand write-in as a little tribute to Alex Trebek, but that might not be the only one that we have in this show, and you'll have to wait for later to find out about that. However, I did want to acknowledge that right now, Alex Trebek, quite the legend.
Dairy.
So let's go ahead and move on to the news. All right, let's kick it all off here with Chris Farrell talking about his favorite console series ever, the PlayStation. This is the one that Chris Farrell, when someone's looking...
That's the Super Nintendo's my favorite. Get it right.
Okay.
That's the best console ever.
Sorry, his second favorite console. In fact, I believe he's on record as saying everyone should own a PlayStation, and the PlayStation controller is awesome compared to the crap that is the Xbox controller.
That's a callback right there.
He's on record saying that. Go ahead, Chris Farrell.
You know how much hell I caught for saying I prefer an Xbox controller to a PlayStation controller from my own co-hosts on a show? It would not die for 20 minutes.
Yes, I entirely know how much, I was going to say the bad word, guff you caught on that, and that's why I'm mentioning it today.
You could say dookie or crap. Those are acceptable.
Poop emoji.
Go ahead, Chris.
Chocolate ice cream. No, but I have been accused of being an Xbox fanboy, and at times I guess maybe that's slightly accurate. I do prefer the Xbox as my go-to main console, but ironically enough, no. I don't bring you the Microsoft Xbox news, despite us recording this a day before the new console launches. I've got Sony news because this is pretty cool, and I think Sony should get credit for something cool they're doing, so everyone can stop saying I'm a PlayStation hater. My news is slightly self-serving.
You know, that would be like doing 353 episodes dogging on Apple and then being like, hey, I like Apple.
I don't like console war mentality. I fully admit that. And I fully admit I was part of the console wars early on because I thought console wars and controversy like that got clicks. And then I realized it was just exhausting and decided it's a waste of time to do console warring. Just enjoy what you want and let others enjoy what they like. So I try to think that gives me the mentality of I'll call the BS card on anyone and I'll like anything that comes from anyone potentially. And I really like this move coming from Sony. They did confirm today that anyone that has an existing PS4 that decides to upgrade and get a PS5, you will now have a remote play app that you can run on your PS4, allowing you to play your PS5. So now, in addition to being able to access your PS4 from a PC or a mobile device, you can use other consoles such as the PS5 now to be able to play things. What's the importance here? Well, this means if you put your PS5 in the living room and your family wants to watch something like, oh man, I really want to play Miles Morales Spider-Man, you could go into your den or your hobby room where you might have moved your old PS4 to, fire up the remote play app, and start playing across the network your game of Miles Morales Spider-Man on the PS5. Now, I doubt you're going to get that full 4K, 120 frames per second capability because the PlayStation 4 can't give you that, but you'll still be able to play. Supposedly, it is only going to be a 1080p stream. So, obviously, no 4K, anything like that. You don't need a PS4 to stream a PS5 to another room in your house. The PS Remote Play app is getting updated on other platforms. The Windows version not only added PS5 support at 1080p, but it also added HDR capability today. They've also done updates to the iOS and Android apps, probably because the console comes out this Thursday. So if you want to play on iOS or Android, it's going to be the same kind of thing we talked about with Microsoft's game streaming and things like that. Get one of those controller clips to make your life easier, Bluetooth pair your controller to your device, and you can play away. Now, there will be some latency because you're pretty much uploading a video signal from your PS5 to your device that you're playing on, PS4, PC, any of those things. But it will be pretty cool. What gets really interesting here, and we talked about it, I think, a little bit when we talked PS5 when it was first announced, they did say you would not be able to use PS4 DualShock controllers to play PS5 games or backwards compatible PS4 games. Where things get interesting now is when you're playing when you're remote playing your PS5 on your PS4, Yes, it makes my brain hurt a little bit too as I work it out. You'll be using a DualShock 4 controller, which you can't use on your PS5 to play PS5 games, which makes me go, well, if it'll work via remote play, why don't you just update the PS5 so that if someone really likes their DualShock 4, especially for older games, they can just use that controller. This is, and I'm not fanboying out or console warring. This is something where I thought Microsoft was smart, saying that any of your Xbox One accessories will work going forward, aside from the Kinect, on the Xbox. And I really hope that Sony pivots and decides to be like, yeah, it doesn't really make sense to block out at least the DualShock 4 for backwards compatibility.
I 100% agree. That's really weird to me that you're able to use a different controller via this workaround. Like, it's so odd, it's bizarre. And considering that controllers are now like, they're essentially just a standard protocol type thing. And I know that's not entirely true, but that's the idea. It's not like the old days where you would have a very unique connection for that specific console. It's just not the case. They're like Bluetooth, or they're wireless technology, or they're even hardwired. It's insane to me, and that makes no sense. I think what they're probably trying to do is limit themselves to possible problems and be like, well, that's not really the proper way you're supposed to do it if all of a sudden issues crop up by using that controller through the PS4. But I agree, it's horse poo-poo.
Well, so full disclosure, part of the reason they might be doing that, and here's where we'll compare Microsoft's plan to Sony's plan, is the new Xbox controller. Not much is different about it besides the fact they added a share button to the center of it and they resculpted the triggers a little bit. Sony redid the controller for the PS5, and the layout and stuff, that's fine. But what really changed and is important for PS5 games is they updated the triggers so that the developers can change the force feedback, for lack of a better term, on those triggers. So say you're playing in a first-person shooter game, they could make it so that a half pull of the trigger is really easy. Then when it comes to that final pull, like you're going to fire a weapon, there's a lot more resistance. So the triggers are configurable like that. So that's probably in part why they don't want you using a PS4 controller, at least to play PS5 games. But when you put this remote play feature in, that kind of goes out the window, and I'm sure they've disabled that if you're playing a PS5 game that would use that.
I'm glad you bring up the trigger thing, and I'd like to know what people's experience is once they've tried the new controller and things like that. But you should tweet Chris Farrell. It's at the Chris Farrell. Once you've used it only, though, and we'll talk past tense instead of trigger, make sure you add hashtag triggered on there.
Oh, God. Oh, God. What have I done?
So, Chris, when did they announce that you can play your PlayStation 5 through your Xbox One?
They have never announced that.
When are they going to?
Probably never.
That's disappointing.
Well, I mean, yes, it is to an extent. It'd be cool from a technology standpoint, but it's not super surprising. And what's the win for Sony to enable remote play for their products on an Xbox product?
You bring up actually, I know you're making a joke, SP, but you bring up a really good point about that, because these apps are existing on things like phones and like Windows, like for the Microsoft, the Xbox side of things. Like, how long until someone does come up, even, with something that's not properly supported, but is like a workaround? Because don't tell me that the capability isn't easily implemented to put it onto one of these consoles when Microsoft's shown that you can put it on a bloody phone.
That's not the hard part, is getting it running on these other things. You could probably install some variant of the Windows 10 app on the Xbox, the way they're all architected. The only reason we don't have Game Pass on PlayStation and Sony's Remote Play on Xbox is because they're not going to make those deals. Well, Microsoft might be considering it at some point in time, just because of how they're pivoting more towards that subscription model. But Sony is pretty much dead set in the current thought, which is console sales is king. We sell them the console, then we sell them the exclusive games to keep them locked into the ecosystem. Whereas I think we talked about on this show, it seems like Microsoft is pivoting more towards, we don't care what hardware you play our stuff on. We just want you to play it. And their thought is, we're going to sell you the subscription service and games on top of that.
Wait, Sony doesn't want to play with others? I'm shocked.
Well, Well, let's look at it from their perspective. Why would you? You're the number one in console sales right now. What's the motivating factor to play nice? We've seen them continuing this kind of behavior because we talked about locking Spider-Man DLC for the Avengers game only to PS4 and I guess PS5, but jokes on them because that game is terrible and lost Square Enix $65 million or some nonsense like that. That's an exaggeration, but they lost money on it so far. And then I guess they did something with the new Call of Duty. I only saw it in passing and I laughed and said, I don't care, it's Call of Duty. But they locked like prestige experience level and some other nonsense as exclusive to Sony. So all these folks that play Call of Duty each year when it comes out are like, oh, this is BS. I wanted to be able to do such and such, and I can only do it on Sony devices. It's the way we are now, as we have these exclusivities to try and draw people in. So when you have that mindset, where's Sony's motivation to be like, yes, we want to put our app on the Switch or on the Xbox? PC, I was shocked enough to see happen. Maybe because they don't really consider a PC a direct competitor because it's not a console.
Right. Well, it's interesting. I just think that one day they will be forced to.
Well, you could put the Sony Remote Play app on a refrigerator just like you did the Game Pass one. The Android app would sideload on there just fine.
Wait a minute. So PlayStation 5 will have the Movie Pass on it?
Huh?
You just said the Movie Pass will allow you to watch PlayStation on the refrigerator.
My head hurts. He's all right. Well, let's go into the next news point. Should we do
Wait,
that?
you're not going to dig in on Movie Pass too? You're just going to let that one slip? All right.
Okay,
I
you
know
know
how
what?
We're supposed to let dead things lie. I mean, do you want a Movie Pass rant? I can probably dig one out.
Wouldn't you like to watch as many movies as you could on your refrigerator
Yeah, just put
Through
the
your
Netflix app
PlayStation.
on there.
through your PlayStation?
Well, the Remote Play doesn't work that way, though. It's only for doing gameplay.
Well, it's useless then.
Can you imagine
Well, I mean-
the frame rate on those tablets that are built into the fridges? Like, it's got to be terrible.
Could you imagine trying to play one of those quick twitch FPS games on your refrigerator?
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to the next news point here. Let's continue the console talk. It's a theme tonight, and again, you might get there later. Amazon is now warning customers that their Xbox Series X pre-orders may not arrive tomorrow. As Chris mentioned, we're recording this today on Monday, the 9th of November, and tomorrow is when the pre-orders are supposed to be out, and you're supposed to be available and all that other stuff there. Anyways, yes, they have sent an email to some customers, and Amazon is saying that they expect to ship some consoles, quote, in the coming weeks as we receive more inventory in November and December, end quote. Amazon estimates that the affected pre-orders will receive the Xbox Series X units by December 31st. That's the date that they're committing to, is December 31st. So if you had your pre-order in, just know you will get it sometime between tomorrow and December 31st.
It's not like anybody's going to go out on New Year's Eve this year. I mean, you're probably going to be home waiting for this thing.
You know, there's obviously something that went horribly wrong here, and they must have anticipated they were going to get so much inventory, and maybe it was like an unfair assumption. Like, it very well could have been like, we're Amazon, we know we'll get it, and just somebody's ego at large here. But this has got to be so disappointing for so many people who have had their pre-orders in and were looking forward to getting it tomorrow. Like, especially if you're banking on it for the holiday season, now you're sitting there and you're basically back with the rest of the masses trying to get one if you were planning on giving it for a gift or something like that, because obviously you with Amazon you can cancel before it ships, but like if I was planning on giving it as a gift, I would most definitely be trying to track one down through alternative methods in the meantime.
Good luck. It's in very short supply right now.
Yeah.
There's going to be limited ones available online, like on Black Friday. Walmart's posted, like Walmart did a date and time and said, here's the date online and the time when these will be available again. And then they did 3 windows for the PS5. It's tough right now because I don't think either PS5 or Xbox Series line, the production was quite where they wanted it to be because of pandemic and shipping situations and things like that. So it's tough right now. And if you go over to r/Xbox Series X, you can see a lot of people that are really mad and perhaps mistakenly taking it out on Microsoft, like, you screwed this up, when I think it's more of Amazon took in way more pre-orders than they should have.
I 100% agree. Now, with a caveat, if they were told by Microsoft, we have this many allocated for you, and then Microsoft backed out, then yes, then it does fall on Microsoft again.
So here's why I think it's an Amazon issue, because if you go and look at like the pre-order thread on there, you're not hearing things from Best Buy pre-orders or Target pre-orders or Walmart ones that says Walmart says I'm not getting mine until next month because they don't have enough. Now there's separate issues where people didn't pay for day one shipping, so they're not getting it like Thursday or Friday this week. But we haven't heard near as many of the problems as we've heard on Amazon of I pre-ordered this and now I'm not getting it until December. What the hell?
Did you ever get your pre-order in, Chris?
I have my pre-order in and it arrives tomorrow by 8 p.m.
Awesome. I meant to ask you about that.
From Microsoft directly.
I'm looking forward to finding out your opinion on that. I'm not in the camp of looking for it anywhere close, and the kids are happy enough with the other one, so I'm not gonna, I got other things to spend my money on. But
That's fair.
I'm also, because I have kids that use consoles, this is way more on my radar now than consoles were just a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few months ago. So not to be a Debbie Downer here, but I've been paying attention to the console rollouts since the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 days. I mean, call me an old fuddy-duddy that likes Atari and was transported into the modern age of gaming, I guess.
I will definitely call you a fuddy-duddy. Wasn't that one of your quotes in the opening for a long time? I'm the fuddy-duddy that likes episode 1. Isn't that what you said?
Something like that. I can't remember.
I don't think it was fuddy-duddy, but I do still to this day I like Star Wars Episode 1. Anyway, my point is what I've learned out of these consoles is that unless you just have to be on the razor edge and get the newest thing right when it comes out, the better value is just to wait a little bit and get like the next generation where you'll have slight improvement or lower cost or something like that. So I have so many games that I haven't played that I'm okay to wait for. I don't know the second. What do you call it when a console gets refreshed? What do you call that, Chris?
I call it like the half iteration or something like that. Is always what I've referred to it as.
I mean, we had the Xbox One, right? We had the Xbox One S, the Xbox One X, right? Is that the Xbox One? I mean, there was 3 of them, right?
There was the Xbox One, the One S, and then the One X. And if you want to get real crazy, there was the One S digital where they removed
right. And then PlayStation 4, there was a 4K version that came out.
The 4 Pro.
Yeah.
But there was also the PlayStation 4 that was refreshed. That was the same idea as the 1S, right? Where it was like
I don't remember.
I don't know. I know exactly what you're talking about, though, SP. And I think, if I remember correctly, because I think we've been doing this show for about 35 years now, during the Xbox One, you had no real intention of getting it, but then there was a scenario that came up where it was I don't know, you needed the media player or something like that, and then you jumped on it then, right?
Oh, for me?
Yeah, for you. Wasn't that the case?
It was the Halo Special Edition.
That's what it was, right? And I think that's an okay way to go as well. Like, I think that, I'm never going to judge anybody's order, whether you're someone like Chris pre-ordering it because you want it, or opportunity, or you're somebody who's waiting in line, or you're someone who's like, I'll get it in a few months, or someone that's waiting half season series. I'll never judge. And I think they're all very valid things. And ultimately, I think you should do what you feels best for your situation at the time. And sometimes it's like that, where it's like, there's something that came out that interests me. So it's cool.
And one thing to keep in mind with this generation of consoles, it's more so on the Xbox than on the PS5, there's not like this compelling launch game that you have to have, and the only way you can play it is on this system. Like, a lot of people are saying, Halo Infinite was that. Well, no, it's not, because Microsoft committed that all of their first-party games, I think they said for the next 2 years, will be playable on the Xbox Series and the Xbox One lines. So if you are an Xbox One first-party gamer and you're not necessarily worried as much about the third-party games, you're fine with your standard Xbox One for now. And the Sony side of the house, yes, they have a couple exclusives, but one of which is the Miles Morales Spider-Man, which, spoiler alert, they're putting out a PS4 version of it too. So if you don't upgrade to PS5, okay. And there's a forward upgrade path, and a couple other games that I don't think are going to be things that people are really clamoring for on day one. So I don't think either console has that must-have, oh my God, I have to play this game because it's the greatest thing ever. This is why I'm going to spend $500 on a console.
You know what game that I've been clamoring to play this past week?
Clamor.
Star Wars
Yeah.
Squadrons.
It's not really a clamor. It's not a game. Squadrons. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But no, in the past, a past game that came out.
Gears of War.
Minecraft.
I have Gears of War that I have not played with ever, and
Co-op is
Minecraft
fun.
I've never played with. I do have a Minecraft console. It's at the lake. It's for my nephew. I've never played it. No.
Minesweeper.
There was this program on Mac called Gator that I love to play. It was a World War II submarine. Just love to play it. No, what I'm talking about is Portal and Portal 2.
Yeah.
I want to get in there with the companion cubes and spar around with Gladys and just still alive.
I've never actually had any exposure to Portal. I'll admit it right now. I have
you
no idea
need
even what it
Portal's
is.
fun.
I've heard of it, no idea what it is.
You have
need
Steam.
to
You
play
can get it for cheap.
Yeah.
You know
You
what?
can get it for $2.
I'm pretty sure, actually, now that I say that, I'm pretty sure Chris once talked about it on this show.
Probably not me. I'm not a huge Portal guy. I think
know
I have
your
an
brothers
appreciation
played
for
it.
it, but
Maybe it
it's
was
your brother.
Maybe JS talked about it.
Oh, it's certainly
Oh.
JS. That would be in JS's wheelhouse.
All right. Well, there's a callback for you. If you remember who JS is, send your hate mail to js@gonnageek.com.
The French Canadian sensation.
Oh, and one last thing before we hop off of that. You said Microsoft is waiting or is guaranteeing how long backwards compatibility?
It was either 1 or 2 years. They were saying that all of their first party games would be playable on both Xbox One and Xbox Series devices.
Okay, so
I can't remember though.
pretty much then right in line with when Amazon pre-orders will be shipped.
It sounds like it. Glad mine's from Microsoft.
All right, well, let's go on to the next thing here. And you heard it here first. SP is about to tell you how Saturn and Jupiter are merging.
Oh my.
Well, they do this every about 20 years or so, but every so often they get so close that it's called the Great Conjunction, and that's happening in December of 2020. So I got this from a space.com article by Joe Rao, but also if you happen to be on the Gonna Geek Discord server, which you can find at gonnageek.com/Discord, you'll see several snapshots that I took with my camera of Saturn and Jupiter, also Mars, as well as the Go Sky app that I was using to track everything. So I knew about this before anyone really started hyping it up in the news. You know, if you're astronomy based, you've heard about this for a while. But here's the article from space.com summarized, and it was written by Joe Rao. In their closest encounter since 1623, Jupiter and Saturn will appear as a single star in the evening sky next month, with their closest point in the sky occurring on winter solstice, December 21st, 2020. So they will appear as a single star. About every 20 years, Jupiter and Saturn have this rendezvous, which is called the Great Conjunction. Most of the time when Jupiter overtakes Saturn, they usually are separated by more than a degree. But come December 21st, they will be separated by just about 1/10 of a degree, or 6.2 arc minutes. The last time these two planets appeared so close was on July 16th, 1623, when they were only 5 arc minutes apart. We will get another 6 arc minute separation on March 15th, 2080. Now, since it's highly unlikely that I will live to see that great conjunction in 2080, I've been taking the chance every night that it's clear out. I go out to the backyard and go to watch these two. And by the way, Pluto is right behind them. You can't see it, of course, with the naked eye because Pluto is so dim in comparison to the two. But Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto are all right there in the southern sky right now. Now, if you like to start stargazing but don't know where to start, you can easily do so the same way that I do it now with a sky tracking app on your smartphone. Now, I use iOS, so the ones that I use are Go Sky Watch, and I get stars and planets from that. I use Go ISS Watch for the International Space Station, and then there's a third app, Go Sat Watch, for most other visible satellites in the sky. So lots of great stuff going on. And this is once in a lifetime for me to see this great conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn. It has been spectacular. They're so bright in the sky.
That's cool. So, Steven, do you have astronomy mode on the Pixel 4a?
I've not looked into it if it does have it.
So it was one of the things they added to the starting with the Pixel 3. And I know we're getting into a side jack on phones here, but it's really cool because you can pretty much just set your phone out in like a tripod for 30 minutes in astronomy mode. And it'll capture these awesome star shots and things like that. And this could be something really cool to play with if you do have astronomy mode on yours, Steven.
It's actually not the astronomy mode, but the light or the dark mode camera, or the low light camera mode on the iPhone 2020 large, also known for most other people as the iPhone 12 Pro Max. I can't wait to use that on some of these sky shots, because the pictures that I posted on the Discord server, you can see what I'm looking at, but it's not very well defined. It's because of the low light and the light pollution around it and stuff like that. But I'm looking forward to get some better shots as well. I don't know if the iPhone has the same sort of tracking that the Android does, but that would be amazing. And I know this is an even further aside, but I've been thinking about eventually picking up a Pixel 5 here sometime in the next year or so, and do a comparison and contrast between the two. What's that?
Yeah, I said that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I think the cameras would be fun. So, Steven, I just looked real quick. It does say Pixel 4a supports astrophotography, first introduced in the 4 and 4XL. Longer-term night sight that activates when the phone detects it's perfectly stable, such as leaning on something or mounted on a tripod, and then takes 1 to 3 minutes to capture photography of the stars. And it looks pretty cool. They do recommend doing it on less cloudy nights so that the clouds don't move and obscure your picture some, but it'd be something really cool to play with, I think.
Will it get streaks across the sky like satellites or comets or meteors?
I don't know.
Okay.
So first off, I doubt I'll be able to, because it's supposed to be super cloudy here. So that's a shame.
I wasn't saying do it like right meow.
How
Right meow?
Right meow.
I was going to let it go.
Meow. See here.
However, I have concerns about this though, Stargate Pioneer. They're getting
You always have concerns, especially when it comes to space stuff that might fall on your house.
Well, the problem is they're getting close together, and you're supposed to be social distancing right now. I'm concerned about this.
They're still apart by 6.1 arc minutes, and that is CDC compatible.
Okay, perfect, because that seems like relatively really close. So
it is really close.
I'm a little afraid.
It's as far as planetary bodies go, it is socially distant.
Good. That's good. Thank you for letting us know about this, SP. I do appreciate that. And now Chris has given me homework, so I appreciate it. Slightly
you
less.
Get to give him homework, but whenever I tell him to go do something, he's like, you know what, SP?
Yeah, but I told him to go play with his phone, so it doesn't really take much arm twisting to do that.
It's like when you're disciplining your kids, Steven, and you're like, go to your room, and they're like, fine, I got a switch in there, I got a phone, I got a tablet, I got a computer, I'm streaming Roku. Sure, I'll go to my room.
All right, well, let's go on to our extra section here, and I'll go ahead and kick us off here. First off, with the extra, I'll talk a little bit more game stuff. Yes, if you own a copy of Spider-Man on the PS4 and you were planning on buying a PlayStation 5, you will know that there has been a little reversal of course. If you had heard before, Insomniac Games had said that there was not going to be compatibility with the PlayStation 5. However, they are now saying that there will be an update that will arrive for the PS4 version that will allow you to export your saves to go into the next gen master, or remaster, I should say. So if you've been thinking that, this Spider-Man game isn't going to work on PlayStation 5, that's why I'm going to join Chris Farrell and only buy this a few days after launch. Well, you can know that you can get your pre-order in right now, because it has been announced that they are going to make that compatible. And the reason I wanted to bring this up here was because I thought it was an interesting follow-up to the thing we talked about last week with, I forget who it was, whoever had the big list of non-compatible games on the PlayStation. Who was that?
Oh, we did talk about Ubisoft and some things
Ubisoft.
that they say were not forward compatible, for lack of a better term.
Forward compatible. And this is interesting because it's another example on something that was not announced or was announced as incompatible going forward. And now they've done something, and now they've made it compatible to export and whatnot. And I wonder if you were entirely right, Chris, that Sony did go to Ubisoft and go, hey, hold off, maybe we can fix this. Because, I don't know, this just seems like a concrete example of something that looked to be not compatible, and now it turns out it is.
So the instance we have here is that Sony has left forward or migration of saves up to the developers to figure out if they want to do it or not, which Microsoft has done differently through their smart delivery, meaning if you can play it on the Xbox One and play it on the Xbox Series One, their save games carry over. So it's just a different way the developers are approaching things.
Well, I was trying to give a compliment here to Sony. I know how much of a Sony fanboy you are, Chris Farrell, but here you went and just talked me off of that.
I've been told that before.
And lastly, in our extra, you had another piece of space news, didn't you, SP?
I did. I actually wanted to talk about this last week, but we ran out of time. And it was a big discovery that was made that's going to enable a lot of things in the future for exploring the solar system, traveling the solar system. It's that NASA's girlfriend, Sophia, discovered water on the surface of the moon. You didn't know that NASA had a girlfriend called Sophia, did you, Chris?
I did not.
Mm-hmm. Did you happen to know why Sophia has her name?
Because they like Modern Family and Sofia Vergara's on it?
No, not quite. We'll get into the name in a second, but I sourced a lot of information from this from space.com, from nasa.gov. They actually had a press release on this, as well as I read the actual scientific paper on nature.com. And what happened was NASA's Stratospheric Observatory for Infrared Astronomy, also known as Sophia, has confirmed for the first time water on the sunlit surface of the moon. This discovery indicates that water may be distributed across the lunar surface and not limited to cold, shadowed places. Sophia has detected the water molecules, which are H2O, by the way, if you know chemistry, in Clavius crater, which is one of the largest craters visible from Earth, located in the moon's southern hemisphere. Data from this location reveal water in concentrations of 100 to 412 parts per million, which is roughly equivalent to a 12-ounce bottle of water trapped in a cubic meter of soil spread across the lunar surface. Now, as a comparison, the Sahara Desert, one of the driest places on Earth, has 100 times the amount of water than what Sophia detected in the lunar soil. The results are published in the latest issue of Nature Astronomy, which I was talking about before at nature.com. Hopefully, Stephen will put that link in the show notes. This is important for a lot of reasons. It's important because if you go to the moon, there's a lot more water available for to sustain human life, or even to sustain some agriculture. If you want to go up there and sustain a human society, it'd be great to have even hydroponics to have a little bit more subsistence on the moon. Also, hydrogen and oxygen, they make up a lot of great rocket fuel. So it's great to have that to mine and then be able to fuel your rocket vehicles to then go explore the rest of the solar system, whether you're trying to do asteroid mining, whether you're trying to send a colonizing ship to Mars, to Triton or Titan, some of the moons out there, Europa. It would be a great resource to use. Now, it's limited, but it would be a great resource to use on the moon to enable the exploration of the rest of the solar system. And to foot stomp this a little bit more, to be able to launch a mission from the lunar surface or the gravity orbit of the lunar body is going to allow for a lot more mass to be propelled with a lot less delta V or force or rocket. So you can end up sending more payload to wherever you're trying to go to. So it is perfectly, the moon is perfectly designed as a immediate stop off to top off your tanks and go for the rest of the solar system. So having more water than we thought is a great discovery. So NASA's girlfriend Sophia came through in a pinch.
So let me ask you this, SP. How much does it cost? Is there a premium to the bottled water that they're selling up there? Because I'm assuming that's all this is bottled water.
Right. It's not filtered at all. You know, they just take it from the tap there on the lunar surface.
Well, I just assumed that
I want some moon water.
When Suncast had made his stop over to there on the way to Mars, that he just like left the water behind.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get some spillage as you're moving. It's like the big cruise ships when they have so much sewage, build up in their tanks. They just have to dump it. It's something like that with them. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Cruise ships, not me going down the highway. Yeah,
that's right. So if you're not familiar with Sophia, by the way, it is one of NASA's 747 aircrafts. What they did is they took a 747, they cut a huge hole in the side, and they put a big telescope, actually multiple, but a big telescope in there. And that's what they're using to sense the rest of the solar system, the rest of the sky out there, which is important because it gets you above the clouds, first of all, and it also gets you higher up in the atmosphere. So you have less atmospheric filters that you have to go through when you're trying to sense something out there. It makes the observations a little bit better, which is why we have it. And also, since it's in a plane, it can go anywhere in the world. So you can position it to be at the right place at the right time, which has actually aided in a lot of different discoveries out there. So someday I might do now that I'm thinking about it, might do a SP Space Symposium specifically on Sophia. NASA, as you might know, has a history of 747s, including the 747s that were used to taxi the shuttles around when they were on Earth. So they are experienced in operating 747s.
Well, we look forward to your review of this moon water once you try it.
Cheers.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to Geek Wars. All right, Geek Wars is a little thing we do here from time to time where I ask these two, or if we have a guest, the guest is often included, a series of questions to find out who is the bigger geek. And the last version of Geek Wars that I did was a complete disaster, and I want that on record saying it was a complete disaster. I think between the two of them, they got half a question right.
I was listening back to that and just knocking myself on the side of the head because I knew about half the answers in retrospect, but no, in the moment, I got none of them.
Well, in any case, we are doing a Geek Wars today, and as I teased at the top of the show, we're going to go ahead and do a little tribute to the wonderful Alex Trebek. And it's going to be a similar idea as usual, where I'm going to have 10 questions that I'm going to ask these folks. And we're going to continue on the console talk. I figured with all this console stuff lately, it's all going to be console-themed trivia. But here's the deal, is this time you will give me the question. Yes, I will expect you to give me the question to the answer in the usual Jeopardy form. So I'll have a quote answer and you will give me the question. It's essentially the same thing, but it's just using the Jeopardy gimmick. But you still got to ring in saying your name, and anyways, it all falls apart from there because it's the same formula. You ring in, you say your name, and then if you don't get it right, the other person has a chance to guess. There's no dollars, there's no daily doubles, there's none of that stuff. But I will give the answer and you will give me the question in the Jeopardy form. Do you understand that weird sort of change, which isn't really a change, but we'll go ahead and call it a change?
Yes.
What is yes?
And also, if you want to play along at home, you can't. I'm sorry. There's just pause before we answer. That's as simple as it is. I should set something up at some point, maybe a contest or something, but then everybody would just play to the end and then cheat. All right, well, let's go ahead.
It would be the spirit of any Geek Wars on Get a Geek show.
And of course, you will each get 1 point for each question until the final
Wait a minute.
question.
We both get a point?
No,
on
if
each
you get it
question?
right.
Nice. We're gonna
we
tie
both get it
again.
right.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and go to question number 1. An accessory that Sega released for its popular Sega Saturn platform beginning in 1991.
Trebek,
All right, go ahead, Stargate Pioneer.
what is a console cover?
No, that is incorrect.
Of course.
So the question again, an accessory that Sega released for its popular Sega Saturn platform. Oh, wait,
Chris.
I screwed that all up. Anyways, Sega Genesis. Oh, we're off to a great
Okay,
start here.
that's why I was
Sorry,
confused.
we'll do that again. We'll do that again here. My apologies. Well, I can't fix it, but anyways, let me do that again. My bad. An accessory that Sega released for its popular Sega Genesis platform beginning in 1991.
Chris,
Chris Farrell.
what is the Sega CD?
That is absolutely correct.
This is probably a bad time to be mentioning I've been watching a lot of vintage game hunter
Oh,
videos on YouTube.
Of course you have been. Jeez.
CD, dust cover, the same thing. I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
Covers dust.
Shh, nobody's going to get that. I edited that out. Shh. All right. Question. Now I got to write down that edit point. Second edit. Remove SP part. All right. Question 2. The name that Sega CD was known as outside of Brazil and North America.
Trebek,
Well, all right, Trebek.
what is the Atari 2600?
That is incorrect.
Dang.
We can't lose points, right?
No.
Chris,
All right, Chris.
what's the Mega Drive?
I'll give it to you. It was the Mega CD, but yes. This,
Oh, okay.
way to go.
No, Mega Drive's a different thing. You shouldn't give it to me.
I was looking for Mega. That's what I was looking for. That's
Okay.
what I had on my answer key. All right. Question number 3. And by the way, for the audio listener, I've got the full Jeopardy experience going on with the full overlay and everything. Released in November 2001, this was its manufacturer's first attempt at console gaming.
Chris,
Chris?
who is Microsoft?
The question again. Released in
Trebek.
November 2001, this was its manufacturer's
shit.
first attempt at console gaming.
Trebek,
All right, Trebek.
what is the Xbox?
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah, my bad.
Getting a point on it. Technicality. Yes.
Yep.
I'll take it. Take it where I can get it.
Question number 4. Well, answer number 4. A company that sought bankruptcy protection under French law in 2013.
Chris,
Chris.
who is Ubisoft?
Incorrect. A company that sought bankruptcy protection under French law in 2013. Care to take a stab at it?
Trebek,
All right, Trebek.
what is Blizzard Entertainment?
Incorrect.
Ah,
It was, you threw it out here as a joke. It was Atari.
I was trying to make a joke here, by the way. I was going after the people that made Hearthstone.
All right. Number 5, an accessory available to purchase for the Xbox 360, which was discontinued in February 2008.
Chris,
All right, Chris.
what is a console faceplate?
That is incorrect.
Trebek,
All right, Trebek.
I don't think this is right. What is the Kinetic?
No, it was not. It was the HD DVD player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that one was a stretch. That was fairly vague, but I couldn't give it any more specific without giving away. Be like, what was the only accessory discontinued for the Xbox 360?
Yeah, I knew I said it incorrectly, but I was going for the Kinect. And the reason I knew it was not true is I think that was in the early 2000s. So I knew it was not right. but I said it anyway, just to get something out there, so you guys could laugh at me some more, because that's all you do in this.
No, we don't. Half the time you get it right.
Not half the time.
Answer number 6. A video game released in 1992 for the Super Nintendo that was packaged with a mouse peripheral. Amongst other things, one could paint with it.
Chris, what is Mario Paint?
That is absolutely correct.
You could also compose music on it, which is one of the coolest things.
You
on
could,
it.
but I didn't know if either of you would know that, because that's why I threw the paint thing in there, because it was a hint.
Mm.
I loved it. I had it. And
Yeah, me too.
One of the best things that my story with it was I got it for like Christmas or something, or I don't forget what it was. Anyways, I think it was Christmas I got it. Whenever I got it, maybe it was my birthday, I got it. I went and I set it all up in the living room, got this Super Nintendo set up, hooked it up, put the mouse down, put the mouse pad down, which, Chris, do you remember what the mouse pad was?
It was a piece of plastic.
It was a piece of plastic. And then I walked away for a second, and my sister stepped on it, cracking it before I even played with it. So it still worked, but for the entire time I ever used that mouse pad, it had a crack that basically you'd get your hands caught in half the time. But yes, it was fun. I made all sorts of little things with it. It was a fun game. I enjoyed that game.
I knew I liked that woman.
All right. Answer number 7. The beginning of a series that still exists today debuted on December 3rd, 1994.
Trebek.
All right, Trebek.
No idea if this is right, but I'm just going to go for it. What is Final Fantasy?
No, that's incorrect.
Dang.
Chris.
All right, Chris.
What is Pokemon?
No, it was PlayStation.
Oh.
Oh, we're consoles, not games.
Yeah.
I accidentally gave you a point, but I retracted it. All right. Number 8.
Jeez.
A handheld.
I demand a recount.
A handheld console series. So I see what you did there. Series in production between 1989 and 2003.
Trebek. What is the Game Boy?
That is absolutely correct. I will give you that point back.
Chris, were you just giving me that point?
You just beat me to it.
Oh, okay.
Number 9. The final console created by a maker that now focuses on game development. It was discontinued in March 2001.
Chris. What is the Dreamcast?
That is absolutely correct. And
very underrated console.
And the last one here, there is a possibility of multiple points should you read my mind correctly, because I'm sure there's lots of different options for this one. Number 10, an example of Microsoft's stupid naming structure.
Chris.
All right, Chris.
Xbox One X, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S. Let's see. Xbox 360, Xbox One after Xbox 360. Pretty much everything after the OG Xbox.
Yep, I'll go ahead and give you 6 for that. Go ahead and take 6 and win the game there. Yeah, I just wanted to end with a shot against Microsoft because I think their names are dumb.
And yet all 3 of us have Xboxes.
So there you go. That's another edition.
He's not even going to admit to it. He's got an Xbox. So there you go.
I do. No, I hate the Xbox names structure. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Even 360 is a dumb name. Microsoft 365, they use terrible names. They're like Microsoft. Someone needs to like slap whoever names things at Microsoft.
What color is your Xbox console?
White.
It's white. Is it visible?
Yes.
What is your favorite game that you play on the Xbox?
The loading screen? I don't know. I don't play games.
What is your favorite game that you play with your sons on the Xbox?
We play a lot of the Lego games, actually, like Lego World and Lego City. Play those.
Okay. What is the color of your PlayStation?
Disconnected. Yeah.
So you have a PlayStation?
PlayStation 3. That's all I have.
PlayStation 3?
Yeah.
So is it one of the slim ones with the curve on top?
No, it's the original. It's the big fat one.
The original PlayStation 3.
The one that you turn on and it heats up your room. It's terrible.
But you can still play Blu-rays on it.
Yeah, but I don't because I have an Xbox One. So
I see. So you've thrown away the PlayStation for an Xbox One, and yet you're throwing all these shots on Xbox.
I can say that their name's stupid and still enjoy it. Like, it's like,
Sure.
I think that Windows 10 I think that it's not a very good product, but I still use it. So
Self-censored. I enjoy it. I've got the tracking number for my iPhone, by the way.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Anyways, that does wrap up Geek Wars, and Chris is the winner with 10. We'll go ahead and give him 10 there. And
I demand a recount. It's unfair.
How many electoral votes does that come down to?
Yeah, my 2 is actually 40 electoral votes.
Yeah.
Electoral
He got
college
California's 2 votes, right?
Yeah. So thanks for playing along, and thanks guys for rolling with my Jeopardy spin. I came up with that right after work today. I thought, that'd be fun, and I got that all together there. Appreciate you going along with that.
Alex Trebek, he had this uncanny ability to uplift everybody around him and to never really hold a grudge, at least publicly or whatever. Always thought the best of people. You might not really appreciate how he handled some of the questions back and forth on Jeopardy, but I mean, it's a trivia show, so you're dealing with a lot of trivia nuts out there. So I think he lived a fantastic life, and I'm glad we were able to honor him in this particular episode of Gonna Geek.
Before we go, is there anything that you would like to plug or promote, guys? I'll go ahead and start off with you, Chris Farrell.
Yes, I'm actually going to shamelessly self-promote this time, but we had another awesome guest on ATGN this week. Episode 425, we had Sean Pryor back for his second visit to talk about the book he's got on Kickstarter, issue 2 of a series he's done called The Ignition. It sounds like it's really interesting. If you've liked any of Sean's prior work or any of his prior visits on the show, go check out the most recent episode of the podcast, and I think you'll enjoy what he has to say about this book. And as a side note, we talked about the first time he was on the show, Sean used to work at Toys R Us, the late 80s, early 90s. So he regaled us with some more tales from Toys R Us, and they're quite hilarious. Some of the tales from working at the Toys R Us. So go check out episode 425 of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast at gonnageek.com or atgnpodcast.com.
SP?
For those that have been anticipating the December launch of The Expanse, be prepared to check out the podcast on the Gonna Geek Network called Crash Couch, all about The Expanse. So you can go back, listen to old episodes while you're doing your rewatch of The Expanse in preparation for the next season to come out in December, which I am really looking forward to. Personally, I'm on a different rewatch right now, but right after that's done, I'm going to get into The Expanse. I'm going to listen to all these episodes. Once again, that's the Crash Couch, which is found at gonnageek.com.
Speaking of rewatches, I've been continuing my Trek rewatch, and I'm in the final tail end of the series, the season 4, which is the final season of Enterprise, which is a problem for me because finally new television's back on, and one of the shows that I watch is NCIS New Orleans, which has Scott Bakula on it, and so it's like I got all of this confusion in my head right now. He's in there and he's an NCIS agent, but wait, he's also the captain. I'm so confused. So it's just all one universe to me now.
Yeah, Porthos is also on Discovery, so there you go.
He could just be Captain Archer's descent or ancestor, rather.
That's true. That is true.
There you go. Tie it together that way.
So on that note, for episode number 353 of the official GonnaGeek.com show, I'm Stephen Chandru saying, what is departed too soon?
I'm Chris Farrell, and I just wrote Star Trek fanfic live in the air.
MSP saying, I think Chris just made Quantum Leap a official Star Trek canon.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Which is all part of the NCIS universe. Bye.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the official GonnaGeek.com show. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts or a thumbs up on YouTube. You can always join us for our live recording sessions, which stream Mondays at 8:45 p.m. Eastern at www.geeks.live. And remember, you can find our full back catalog at gonnageek.com/show. If you're itching for more geeky content, check out other shows on gonnageeknetwork.com. Voice work was by Emily Prokop of the Story Behind podcast. That's it for this episode. We hope to see you back again next week.
Hey, so I noticed something, by the way. Never mind. I'll leave it alone. I was going to comment that I noticed during our openings. I won't leave it alone. I was going to comment that in the openings, I noticed that there were several different shots of different seasons in there, but there was only 3 seasons, not 4.
You sure about that?
Huh?
Look, hold on. We'll go through it here.
Yeah.
This is the official gonnageek.com show.
Wait, look, what?
Each week,
on,
we
wait, you
run
gotta
down
wait
the
for it. You
latest
gotta wait
news
for
and
it.
happenings in the world of geek.
Maybe I missed the 4th.
These are your hosts for the show, Steven,
See, there's winter.
Okay,
Chris,
Christmas.
There's summer.
and SP.
And there's
Oh.
fall.
Well, let me back up.
Hold on.
So
let me
the
go back
picture
a
of
minute.
me backing away is not fall; it's spring.
Oh, so we don't have a fall. Okay.
Well, you might.
Well, I can't find it. It's not working. There we go. Okay. No. See, it's
Chris,
not
do you
it.
remember when you did that? Was that summer?
I think it was summer.
Well,
Okay,
hold on. When were you in your car, though, SB? Maybe. When were you in your car?
Yeah, I believe that was summer on the way back and forth to the lake.
See, we're missing one. So, unfortunately.
Or we're missing fall.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Steven, I hate to report this to you, but your Patriots are losing 20-10 to the Jets.
I was waiting for you
I'm
to
sorry.
mention it.
Have they won a game this year?
The Jets? No, they're 0-8.
The Patriots.
Oh, they've
Yeah.
won 2.
Yeah.
They're pretty bad this year.
They're having a rough year.
Rough year.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
Mm-hmm. Rough year.
Truth.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody that was in the chat. Albert, Dane, Suncast, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and thank you. Are we still streaming?
Yeah, we are. And by the way, hold on. It's what did you say it was?
20-10 last I checked.
It's 2016 right now, as of this second.
Oh, well, then they must have scored since
Yeah.
I started the page load
Yeah,
on
and
ESPN.com.
it's only, by the way, in the 3rd, FYI.
So I'm trying to
Okay.
thank our listeners.
Sorry,
So
go
thank you.
ahead.
If you're on Twitch, if you're on Facebook, if you're watching us on YouTube and you're not at the Geeks.live website, thank you very much. If you're at Geeks.live, you can join our chat. But thank you very much for listening to us. Really appreciate it. And if you're listening to us this far, we would really appreciate a review on iTunes if you haven't done one already, just to tell us what you like about the show so we can focus on that aspect a little bit more.
Yes. Thank you very much for saying that. I appreciate that. I don't give enough asks of that anymore. There was a note I thought in the chat that I wanted to mention. Oh, yes, it was. Albert Sims had said that he's got 1 episode left and he'll be finished his first ever watch of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Oh,
Nice.
Which means all good things,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Remember waiting
Good
to
episode.
watch all
Mhm.
good things.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it's like Firefly, right? You can only watch it all the way through for the first time once. All good things, you can only watch it for the first time once.
I've never watched all of Firefly.
Well, were you watching it in order? Or,
I've
I
never
mean,
watched Firefly. Like I
okay.
watched, I think we early on this show, I was like, I'll do it and I'll talk about it as is coming into it new after so many, or coming into it after it's been off for so many years. And I think I watched
I envy
2
you
episodes.
then. I envy you having that in front of you and never having watched it before. I do. I envy you. It was a fun watch when I did it.
Albert says that he's watching his first watch of Voyager next. Have you watched Deep Space Nine, Albert? Have you actually? Which Star Treks have you? I know you watched the original
Yeah,
series.
Deep Space Nine is technically running at the same time as Next Generation, and then
Well,
Voyager
so is
runs
Voyager.
during the late seasons
Oh, yeah.
of Deep Space Nine. Like season 3
Well-
or 4 of DS9 is when season 1 of Voyager is, I think.
It was 21 years of Star Trek between the 3 series and Enterprise, right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. And each season, like DS9, Voyager, and TNG, that were all 7 years, but there was overlap.
Rewatching Enterprise, I have more appreciation for it than I did. I think that it's actually a really good foundation for a modern style sci-fi series. I think there's a lot that could have been. I think that it could have been handled, like, it could have been a really, really enjoyable series, but I have a lot of appreciation for the crap that is the overall writing of the plot. Like, there's a lot of really hard, like, character changes, and just like all of a sudden Archer is like, he's like this guy that he's like, I'll only do good, and then all of a sudden he's like beating somebody like to interrogate them. And I get that there was a huge chunk of the Earth population, he was there fighting for a huge half for the world, right? But it's still is like, it's a hard character, I don't know, a hard turn in his character, I guess.
They changed the tone of the show a bit when they got to season 3. And that's also, they started, season 3 was that season long arc where they kind of had to change up some characters for that. Season 4 is really its best when they started doing small mini arcs throughout season 4. You could have a 4 or 5 episode arc, and then it would move on to another 4 or 5 episode arc. And that's arguably when Enterprise got its best, I thought, was season 4, because they'd established their lore, they'd established the characters, and then it was, we're just going to play in this universe, and gave nice shout outs and call outs to things that are going to come later, like bringing Brent Spiner back. That was awesome. But the finale of Enterprise, bullcrap.
100%.
100% bullcrap.
100%. And I don't know anybody involved with it to this day,
including the people on the show.
Exactly, that liked it. Because
did you guys see Lower Decks?
No.
Oh. Yeah, there is an homage to that in Lower Decks.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They call it out.
Sorry. Oh, Lower Decks. Sorry. I thought you said, never mind. Yeah, I did watch Lower Decks. Which...
It was one of the last episodes of the season.
Oh, they did too.
They did.
They did, yeah.
They totally did.
That was a good nod. That was actually a really good nod. But that was, and season 3, what was weird too, because that was really when you had these weird tonal turns and changes with characters. To me, like, the ultimate example on just poor plot point, or plot management, in the middle of like the climax of the whole Xindi arc in there, they give to Paul a story about drug problems. Like, this is in the middle of the biggest moment of that entire series, and arguably one of the biggest moments in Star Trek canon, is like, here, to Paul, you can have a drug problem story.
So they were definitely suffering from the are we going to get renewed, or are we not going to get renewed? Also, there was this whole writer strike that was impending that they didn't necessarily know or whatever. So there was a lot of complicating factors which ultimately killed off the show, and they try to end it somewhere. So that's what you're referring to. And okay, it's how they went. And I think everybody that's involved would have preferred to it ending another way, but at least Jonathan Frakes is trying to resurrect it in a good light. And okay, if you don't like it, you don't like it. But Enterprise itself was going somewhere. Matter of fact, Enterprise reminds me a lot of Stargate Universe, where they both had a significantly darker tone than the rest of the series. I mean, even DS9, it was darker than Enterprise was darker than DS9. And I'm not talking about the void that they were in. I mean, the storylines and stuff like that, right? And I think they suffered from that, where the original fan base,
only season 3, I would say it was darker.
Yeah, but that's right where they're thinking about canceling it.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's fair.
And Stargate Universe didn't get beyond season 2. It was canceled by Sci-Fi because they went too dark in the fan base wasn't in for it. So
Well, and sci-fi was also at that time trying to pivot away from having sci-fi on it.
Well,
That was part of their problem too.
the thing is though, like the interesting thing with Enterprise though was that season 1 and I would say season 2 were fairly overall it was sort of typical villain of the week type things, right? Like, I think the basic formula for a lot of those episodes were in line with other like TNG
With
for
the rest
example.
of Trek.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. And it wasn't received well at that point. Because people don't like canon there or don't like changing canon. And that was I remember that. I still can't wrap my head around the people who got mad about it not looking like cardboard sets. It's like, really? Back then, it was the same thing as the conversations we have now about revisiting some of these. It's like, technology's better, go with it. It's a story. Like, come on.
mhm.
well, it's cheesy sci-fi, but Doctor Who's had to deal with that since 1963, where technology has gotten better over the years, but they're still stuck with what they started out with, and they've adapted a little bit, and maybe because they're cheesy sci-fi, they've adapted a little bit better. I don't know, but other shows have dealt with this sort of thing along the way. Anything that's reboot nowadays, like X-Files, are going to have to deal with it, and
Right.
it's just a factor of life. When you take a look at the TV of the 80s and 90s, which is maybe 70s, which is where, like, V is a good example, right? The original V was just made off of a bunch of discarded Star Wars sets, right? And then when the reboot came in, they really tried to do it up just like any normal sci-fi series, but it got caught in the old, you can't have sci-fi on a network show anymore just because there's just not enough money for it. It was before streaming services started picking it up. So, but you talk about the technology behind it. V is a great example of that. Both iterations of V.
I'm glad, like, when I look at the TV that I watch, I'm fairly forgiving with different, like a new series or a spin-off series taking a new tone. And I think I appreciate more because of that. Like just for example, the Star Trek Discovery season 1, very different than a lot of Star Trek in the past. And because I don't care if it's different, I enjoyed it. So, there is some stuff that I get a little grumpy about, but and overall though, I've been enjoying it and it's a fun ride. I have more issue with, even though I think that they're doing a good job of storytelling so far, I have more issues with Star Trek Discovery season 3 being in the future, spoiler alert, now, even though the stories for the first few episodes has been a fun TV show. I have more issues with the fact that it's in the future now, versus what I saw in Discovery season 1. And that's mostly just because of the fact that I don't like when stories go to the future, because it's like if there's anything running in quote current time, it makes me go,
I don't know. I kind of like the fact they did that because that's what we've needed for ages, is to move forward in the Trek universe.
yes, but the problem,
It's all going to get retconned.
well, that's the thing is, I really, really hope that they pull an Arrow and the whole thing gets wiped away, because then I'm okay with it. Because the Arrow, they went and they did a whole bunch of flash forwards, and we saw the future, and it's like, this is stupid. You've just told us where this whole series is going, and now how can we be invested in the current if we know that Star City went to crap and our heroes lost and they failed at it? Then why do we even care about the main story right now? That's how I feel about Discovery, because I agree we needed to go forward, Chris, but the problem is we have a series that is going forward, Picard, and then we have a series way in the future. So it's kind of like, why do I care about Picard if I know that the things that, I'm not going to say the things that are happening in Discovery are happening?
There's a difference in scale, though, that I think makes it more palatable to me, at least, which is what was happening with Arrow. Is we went ahead, like, in the lifetime of these characters we know, and saw what had happened. Whereas what we're seeing with Discovery is, this is beyond the lifetime of any of the characters we know from our stories. So maybe their life was good, maybe it wasn't, and the future turned out not being great.
I don't know. I just have
That's
issues.
just my personal take on
That's
it.
fair.
That bothers me less because they haven't gone in and ruined everyone I like's lives without me seeing what happened.
After the whole J.J. Abrams reboot, I'm just glad to get some sort of reimagined Trek going forward, because the movies are pretty much stalled at this point.
I just want Justin Lin to get to do more Star Trek movies, but that's not happening. Sadly.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like it. I did, but a lot of people didn't like it.
See,
whatever.
I didn't care for JJ's Trek, so
at least he was responsible for rebooting the universe. I don't think without JJ, I don't know if that would ever happen. And the original Next Generation crew, they were done after Nemesis. So
yeah. All right.
You got, as far as pop sci-fi goes, I just got to throw this in here right now. Do you guys remember this series on ABC a few years ago, 2009, called Defying Gravity?
No.
I remember hearing about it. I never saw it.
So it was like Grey's Anatomy in space, basically, right? So it was this ship that was going to go around the solar system and hit all the planets, and then they over the course of years. So it was set up for a multi-year show, and it was literally Grey's Anatomy in space, which I think they would have eventually run into issues because actors, you have a limited number of actors. It's not like you're going to be able to, get somebody else on the ship or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was in 2009. This year, Netflix had something that was so similar. It was called Away. This 10-episode show, which I think they've been greenlit for season 2. Hilary Swank is the star of it.
Well, that got canceled though.
It did get canceled?
It got canceled. I know what show you're talking about. It was in my queue, and then I saw they canceled it, so I decided I wasn't going to bother then because I didn't want more.
Well, you don't have to. I've watched it for you, Chris. If you need something to watch with your wife, okay. And that's literally all this is. It's if you have a significant other that likes those cheesy romance-based dramas on TV, Away is a decent cross. I will admit it's more drama than space stuff, but I watched it, and I will never watch it again.
Yeah.
But I watched it.
Suncast brings up a question. Have you, and maybe it's because of COVID and you're home now, about your 3-season rule?
I will remind Suncast, because he brings this up all the time, that was broadcast TV. That was not streaming.
I thought you used it, though, against Discovery.
Well, I use CBS All Access against Discovery.
Oh, fair enough. Technicality there. Yeah, I've been watching. I have to admit, I've been waiting the day and watching it on the streaming service rather than on my DVR, because Discovery's aired on Space Channel. Well, sorry,
I'm behind 2 episodes right now.
Okay, it's now called CTV Sci-Fi, but it was what Space Channel was, and it records. And in this week, I actually had time on the Thursday and I wanted to watch it, so I was sat down and I watched it on the DVR. But usually I'm waiting a day and just watching it through the streaming service that carries it as well, because I like not even having to skip the commercials. I know it's like 6 buttons, but still, it's not many jumps, but I really like just watching it. So, all right, let's go ahead and shut things down. Thanks everybody for coming on by. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day. We'll have better podcasting streamed live tomorrow. Hopefully Thursday, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Sunday, All Things Good and Nerdy.
This week, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is taking Thursday off.
All right.
I know that right now.
So no Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Thursday, and you can come back on Sunday for All Things Good and Nerdy. I heard that Chris Farrell is going to review the Sony PlayStation 5.
How am I going to review something I don't have? Did you get me a PS5, Stephen?